So if I'm talking about an expression, if I say the word expression, all that is it has numbers, it has variables, but the most important thing is that it does not have an equal sign. So there are no sides, there's no equal sign. So an example of that could be 4x plus 7, something like that. That's a 7. Kind of ugly. But there's no equal sign, there's no left or right, it's just an expression. An equation, though, it does have an equal sign, so it has a left or right side. So it has equal sign. So an example of that could be 4x plus 7 equals 14, something like that. So it has a left or right. That's what I mean by equation. So for an expression, you can do two things. You can evaluate and you can solve. So when I'm talking about expression, I'm going to do two things. I'm either going to evaluate or I'm going to simplify. Those are kind of connected with expression. If I were to evaluate an expression, it just means to find the value of expression or of the expression, sometimes by substitution. So this is when you need to use PEMDAS. So everyone remember what PEMDAS stands for? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And multiplication, division go together, addition, subtraction go together, and you read those from left to right. You could also simplify an expression. So that is just the process of reducing to a simpler form, to the most simple form. That means you're combining like terms. You're putting all of the variables that go together, all the x's together, all the y's, all the numbers, things like that. And then if you have an equation, you're going to solve an equation. So that's the only thing you can do to an equation. You can solve it. You can't simplify. So to solve is to find a set of values for the variables that satisfy the equation. It's a lot. You don't have to memorize these definitions. You're not going to be tested over them or anything, so don't stress about the definitions too much. I just want you to understand what everything means. So if we look at number 1, I'm going to have you guys use your whiteboards. So I would use like the thicker ones because the other ones are more for graphing. And I want you to try number 1. I want you to evaluate. So that means that you are plugging in b equals 6, and you are plugging in g equals 2, and you are using PEMDAS. So PEMDAS, we're going to do all the squareds first. So I'm going to do the 6 squared and I'm going to do the 2 squared. That gives me 36 and 4. The next is multiplication or division. So if I multiply from left to right, I get 72. 2 times 6 times 2 is 24, and plus 4. Then I add, subtract, last step, from left to right, and that gets me 52. My only suggestion is just to be careful that you show your steps and make sure that you check, because it's just like simple mistakes that can get us. It's not that we don't know how to do it, just simple mistakes. Okay, let's try number 2. So we're going to try to simplify. Going to distribute the b, so I get 5a squared b. I usually write in alphabetical order, but that's probably just the OCD-ness in me. But I usually put a and then b. And then I'm going to distribute to the negative 2AB. Then I'm going to take the A, distribute, so minus 11A squared B. Then a negative times a negative becomes a positive, 2AB. From there, I combine like terms. I can only combine with things that are A squared B, A squared B. I can't combine the A squared B with the AB. They have to have the exact same exponents. So 5 minus 11 gives me negative 6A squared B. Then I can combine the negative 2AB with the positive 2AB, and they end up canceling. So my final answer is negative 6A squared B. Then we're going to say that how many miles per gallon do you get on the highway? 45. So 45 times H. But what if so if you look at part B, what if I only drive 5 gallons on the highway? How many gallons do I have left over? I have 10 because I have 15 gallons total, right? So if I were to think, okay, if I've used 5 on the highway, 5 times 5 gets me some number. I don't know what that is. I have 10 gallons left. How would I figure out how many miles I drove if I have 10 gallons left? Multiply by what number? 45. Not 45 because that was on the highway. So this is highway.
25.
That's not how you spell highway. Then, so this is highway plus, then I have how many gallons in the city? Or how many miles per gallon in the city? 25. And you told me that I have 10 left. But how could I represent that number 10? 15 minus H. Thank you. Yes. So 15 minus H. This represents the city because the combination of highway and city always adds up to 15. So if highway is 5, then city is 10. If highway is 7, then city is 8. It's always 15 minus whatever you did in the highway. So that is how I represent the city using just the letter H. So now I want you guys to simplify that. We can do this, right? We can simplify. So distribute that 25, combine your like terms, then I want you to get one final expression. Okay, so once you get 20H plus 375, it then says that you have 5 miles on the highway. So I'm going to plug 5 in for H, and you should end up getting 475 miles.